Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to go over with you my wind backup generator that I use for my home. It's a tri-fuel generator that runs off of natural gas, propane, or gasoline. It's a tri-fuel generator. I'm going to go over some of the features of the generator and demonstrate how to run the generator using 3 different types of fuel. So let's get started. So this particular generator is called the wind generator. It's a 14,500 watt tri-fuel generator that runs off of gasoline, propane, and natural gas. And I'm just going to show you some of the features of the generator, and then I'm going to get it started. Okay, so here on the front, this is the fuel switch. 12 o'clock position is for storage. If you're not running the generator, put it in the storage position. If you're going to run it off propane, you want to switch it to the 3 o'clock position. If you're going to run it off gasoline, you want to go to the 6 o'clock position. For natural gas, you're going to go to the 9 o'clock position. So this is called the fuel switch. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this here in a moment. This is where you connect the natural gas or the propane. You even have a little label here that shows you where to connect it. This particular generator has an oil alert. If the oil drops below a certain level, the generator goes into a fail safe and shut itself down. You can start it manually with the pull cord. Here on the side, you can actually pull this cord to start the generator, or you can turn the key. Okay. It also comes with a CO watchdog. Okay. It gives you the little lights here. One is red, one is yellow. It detects CO2. If it's red, if that light turns red, you want to move to fresh air. If it's yellow, it basically has a sensor error, but it tells you right here on the front how this actually works. And I like this because if the level gets too high, it'll shut the generator down. Okay, if the CO level gets too high. Here on the side, we have the data meter. It'll show you your watts, what you're actually putting out, and how many watts you're actually using. It's got a mode button. We'll get into this here in a moment. It'll show you, just how much wattage that you're using on this particular generator. We have an 8-amp breaker here to push it to reset. Push button. Okay. We have a DC 12 volt. Okay. We have 4 120 volts AC outlets. Okay. We have a 20-amp breaker. Push to reset. You have one for the left side and you have one for the right side. Okay. Those are your breakers for your 4 120 volts. And it's the NEMA 5-20-R receptacles. Moving to the left, you have the AC breakers. They're 30-amp breakers, one to the left and one to the right. It's a NEMA L14-30R. It's a locking receptacle, and it goes from 120 volts up to 240. This is your 30 amp. One of my favorite features of this particular generator is that it has this 50 amp breaker. It's a NEMA 14-50R. It has 120 volts to 240. It's a 4-prong. And to the left, this is your main breaker switch. Turn that breaker off, turn it on. Now, keep in mind that this generator is floating neutral, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. It comes with this 12 volt battery. It's a 12 volt, 14 amp hour, 20 hour battery. And basically when you turn the key, it runs off this battery. So I can crank the generator manually, or I can crank it with this key. Here on the front, we have the engine oil to check the engine oil. So we have our battery connected in. Okay, so I've went over with you the features of the front of the generator. If you look on top, it has this fuel gauge here on the top. It's in the red, which means that this generator is full. And the fuel specs is a 8.2 gallon. This is where your gasoline goes. So we got that topped off with the fuel, the gauge. Moving around to the side of the generator, we have our choke. There's your close. There's your run. We also have a gasoline fuel switch. You can turn it off or you can turn it on, and this is key. We're going to go over this here in a moment. Again, this is your pull start. It's a 500cc overhead valve engine. Okay, pull start. So depending on which fuel you run will determine the maximum watts of this particular generator. Okay, so 14,500 is going to be your maximum, and that's going to be off of gasoline. So the black hose will be the propane. This gray hose would be the natural gas. So I got two different hoses. I actually bought this separate, and I'm going to show you how I get this connected up. But the black propane regulator and hose came with the generator. This 50 amp is used to power my house. So stay tuned for a future video. I'm going to show you how I actually power my home using this cable coming off of the generator. And I also have a full propane canister. Okay, it even has a gauge on the front, shows you that the propane is full. Okay, one of the things that I've learned about these tri-fuel generators is that you want to warm it up before you pull a load. Also, it's a good idea to warm the generator before you run it off of propane or natural gas. It's just been my experience that it starts better with natural gas or propane if the unit has been previously ran and warmed up off of gasoline. It's not required, but I just find it easier to start. So the first thing that I'm going to do is run the generator off of gasoline. Okay, so this generator has not been started today. The current temperature outside right now is just above freezing. I'm going to crank the generator up. I'm going to let it run about 5 minutes off of gasoline. I'm going to shut it down, and then I'm going to connect the propane. We're going to let it run for about 5 minutes off the propane. I'm going to shut it down again, and then we're going to run it off of natural gas just to demonstrate 3 different types of fuel. Okay, so this will be the first start of the day. The generator is cold. I'm going to crank it up and just let it warm up. On the first start of the day, I want to crank the generator and let it warm up. So basically what I'm going to do is, since I'm running off of gasoline, I want to make sure that my gasoline valve is in the on position. When I run it off of natural gas or propane, I'm going to cut this off and put this in the off position. Okay, gasoline only, turn on your fuel. Okay, so the fuel is on. We're going to turn the choke on or close. When you turn your choke on, it's closed. When you let it run, it's open. Okay, so cold start, you want to go to choke or closed. Okay, so we got the choke closed, we got the fuel on. Next, I'm going to crank the generator. 2 ways I can crank it is with this pull cord, or I could crank it with the key. I'm going to crank it with the key. Okay, so choke is on, fuel line is on. I'm going to put my fuel switch on gasoline. Okay, 6 o'clock position. Once the generator cranks up, I'm going to put my choke in the run position. So here we go. So I've demonstrated running the unit, starting the unit with the key. Next, I'm going to start the unit with the pull cord. Fuel is on. I'm just going to turn the ignition to on. And I'm going to pull the cord. Let's see if we can crank it manually. Okay. So I've demonstrated cranking the unit off of gasoline using the electrical ignition start or starting the unit with the manual pull cord. So next I'm going to demonstrate connecting up the propane. The unit is now warmed up. That's connected to propane. So before I run the unit off of propane, first thing I need to do is turn off the gasoline fuel line. So I'm going to turn this off, close that off. Okay, that's closed. The next thing I'm going to do is hook up my propane. We're going to move that to the side. The black hose is going to be propane. Gray hose is going to be natural gas. So we're going to hook one end into the gas port, move off this protective cap, and I'm going to plug in. Plug in on the coupler. Make sure we're plugged in. I'm going to take the other end and we're going to connect this end with the regulator to the propane. So I'm going to take off my cap. I'm going to take the other end and connect it up. We're in the propane position. Line is hooked up. Gas propane main valve is open. Fuel line is closed. Choke is closed. Once it crank up, we're going to put it in run. Here we go. Turn my key off. So to shut down the generator with the propane, I close the main valve and just shut off the fuel. Once I starve the generator from propane, it shut itself down. Okay. So this is how you run the unit off of propane. I'm going to disconnect and show you how I run it off of natural gas. So next I'm going to connect up the natural gas to the generator. Okay. And we're going to use the same technique as hooking up the propane. First thing we're going to do is make sure that the fuel selector switch is in the off position, or the fuel line is in the off position. Okay. I'm going to have to choke the generator to start it and then put it into run. We're going to take our coupler and we're going to connect it to the generator. And we're going to connect our other end to our natural gas line. So we're going to take our natural gas line and we're going to connect it to our natural gas line. Make sure it snaps in. Okay. Next step, I want to turn on the fuel supply coming from the natural gas. I'm going to turn that on. that's on. We're connected here at the coupler. But we're going to put the fuse switch to natural gas. Okay, we got it in natural gas. I'm going to turn my choke. I'm going to close my choke. Once it cranks up, I'm going to put it in run. So close the choke. Fuse line off. Fuse switch, natural gas. Everything is connected up. I'm going to turn the key. Here we go. Turn that switch off. So whether you're doing natural gas or propane, I like to turn it off from the supply line first. So if you're running propane, turn it off from the regulator first. If you're running natural gas, shut down your natural gas first. Once the generator cut off, then you can turn off the engine switch. Okay, turn off that engine switch. Next thing I like to do is disconnect from the fuel supply. Okay, put back my protective cap. Next, I could disconnect my coupler from the natural gas inlet. Go ahead and put the protective caps back on the lines. I'm doing this with one hand. And that'll protect the cap and put back the inlet protective cap. So if I want to go back to gasoline, I'm going to put this to the on. That's going to let my gasoline back through. I may have to choke it. I'm going to put the fuel switch back to gasoline. Now I can crank the gasoline. Now I can put the fuse switch back to storage. So this is how I operate my wind generator off of gasoline, propane, or natural gas. It's a tri-fuel generator, and so far I've been using this thing for several months. I have not had any issues with it. It's been a very good generator. It's quieter than a generator that's normally this size. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give the generator a 10. I will include a link in the description of the video of where you can pick up this exact generator that I've used for my home backup generator, and it works absolutely great. You know, we had a lot of snow that moved in the area. A lot of homes are still without power in Mississippi. A lot of roads are still iced over, but a lot of the ice is starting to melt, and hopefully we'll be out of these icy conditions over the next couple of days once some of the rain move in. But let me know what you think about this generator. I will include a link in the description of the video of where you can pick up this same generator. Also, check out my video on my Honda generator and how I demonstrate how to use the Honda generator as well. So I want you guys to chime in. Let me know what you think. drop a comment down in the comment section below. If you like this video, just click the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And hopefully the snow will melt soon, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. Thank you.